Hello and welcome to another episode of Mike and Dave's Hi-Fi Riff. I'm Mike Evans.
And I'm David Price.
And David, on this week's riff, what are we going to be talking about?
It's the Audio-Technica AT-33Sa.
And at long last, we're doing a moving coil cartridge.
Yes.
I think this could be the first MC we've done on riff, isn't it?
I think so.
It is.
Yeah.
It's quite a special one as well.
Yeah, well, it's funny because we're kind of quite obsessed with cartridges, and we some reason we haven't done a cartridge for ages, and we did the Nagaoka, didn't we?
Yes.
A while back, a short while back, and loads of people were really interested. So.
I was thinking exactly the same thing, isn't it funny? I was thinking, for our love of cartridges and our lifelong love of cartridges, we haven't really talked about them too much at all on riff, so which is an omission, surely. So
so for the next 10 riffs are going to be our favourite.
just cartridges. It would take more than that.
So, yeah.
Because over the years, I think we've had some absolute crackers, haven't we? And probably between us owned some really nice cartridges.
Yep.
One of my favourites, which I owned, was, do you remember my Lynn Karma cartridge?
Yeah.
Which I think was my first grown-up cartridge.
Yep.
I couldn't afford the Troika, but the Karma was out, and I just loved that. And I was really, really saddened when I wore it out, and couldn't really do anything else with it.
After about 10 days.
After about 10 days, yes, because it sounded so good. And I've had some good moving magnets as well.
Yep.
Over the years as well. Maybe some slightly off the wall ones like Supex, and brands like that.
Yeah.
But you've had loads.
Yeah.
I mean, absolutely loads.
Yeah.
And before we talk about Audio-Technica, any particular sort of favourites from yesteryear which spring to mind for you?
For me, one of my favourite cartridges ever is the Supex SD900. Mine had a Vital stylus. I've still got it, actually. I've got it rebuilt by a very capable guy, and it's waiting to go in one of my turntables.
Fantastic.
So
I fear a review coming on.
Yes, but that Supex I had in my first proper grown-up turntable, which was my LP12 ITOC LV2.
I remember well, yes.
Yeah. And, that was late 80s, and that was, listening to Roxy Music's Avalon and stuff like that.
Which sounds really good, actually. It's a really
amazing.
nicely recorded album, too.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, speaking of which, we've been listening to a few 80s recordings, haven't we,
we have.
to do this little demo on. In terms of Audio-Technica cartridges, I don't think I've really had too many high-end ones. I've listened to a few over the time. I remember a pal of mine had an Art 1, which was their sort of flagship cartridge at the time. And also I've heard a few OC9s and OC7s in my time. But it's the first time I've heard this little chap.
Yeah.
And so this is the... Look, we've got the box here as well. Nice box.
I'll hold the box so you don't kill the cartridge.
No, good shout. So. Yeah, good shout. But really nicely packaged. But yeah, what a lovely little cartridge this is. It's a real sweet spot, I think, isn't it?
Most cartridges are little, Mike.
Well, that's very true. That's true. Sorry, I was just
maybe apart from the Autophon SPU, which is bigger than all the others.
Actually, my Nagaoka's quite a big cartridge, isn't it? So, but this is.
Is it your Nagaoka now? Is it?
Well, sorry, worn it out already.
Oh right.
Actually, we got some interesting comments back on that riff saying that the stylus life of the Nagaoka is actually not hugely long.
Well, you're putting that theory to the test as virtually as we speak.
I am. So tell me a little bit about this lovely Audio-Technica which we've got here.
So it all started. So let me give you my
hang on.
All right. Let me give you my personal take on this. So I had, when I was living in Japan in the early 90s. I went over there and I was quite surprised to find out that Audio-Technica cartridges are a lot cheaper in Japan than here. Just like Land Rovers are a lot cheaper in the UK than in Japan.
In Japan, yes.
And I bought an OC9. I bought it from Yodobashi Camera for probably half the price or something like that of the UK. And I was like, fantastic, because in the early 90s, the OC9 was the rave, wasn't it?
It was revered.
Everyone was saying...
Yes.
Our guru Chris Franklin at Hi-Fi Review was saying how great it was.
Yeah.
So I bought the OC9 and I saw this other cartridge that I'd never seen before, which was an AT-33E. And I thought, that's funny. It kind of reminds me of something that I used to see in the late 70s, early 80s. and a very different look to the OC9, and it was basically a much older cartridge. And it was a similar price, and I thought, well, go on then. I might, I was feeling
buy one get one free.
Buy one. So I bought that, and I put it in my turntable, which is a Pioneer PL600, a really good Japanese direct drive, and I was blown away. I was blown away by how much better it was than the OC9.
OC9.
Yeah,
yes,
So that kind of twigged me on to AT-33Es. At that time, it was the E variant. So here we are, fast forward many years, and for some reason, Audio-Technica seemed to have woken up and suddenly done a kind of range of AT-33s based on the E with different types. And I reviewed the AT-33 PTG2, which I thought was fantastic and better than the E. And then along comes the AT-33Sa.
Here we are.
Yeah, here we are. Complete in its Audio-Technica head shell as well.
Detachable head shell. Look at that.
So there we go.
See, this is what hi-fi reviewers use. Look
Exactly.
at that. An Audio-Technica detachable head shell.
So absolutely fantastic.
Very practical bit of kit.
Yeah. So I ended up reviewing the AT-33Sa, and again blown away. It's much better than the E. The E was fantastic, and this thing is about in the UK. It's about 680 quid. And it's a moving coil, but it's got a couple of interesting things. First, it's got a boron cantilever, and as any kind of cartridge geek knows, boron is better than the aluminium cantilevers in most cartridges, so certainly most low-end ones. I don't know many cartridges for this little money that have boron cantilevers, so that's a bit of a Brucey bonus. And also, it's got a Shibata stylus as well, which is a very fancy enhanced line contact stylus. So what's not to like? The fundamentals of the AT-33E. It's supposed to have PC OCC wiring, oxygen-free copper windings with fewer windings over the earlier models, which is said to give better low-level detail. How do you tell me what you think it sounds like?
I think it's glorious.
Yeah,
I really do. I'm really shocked, actually. Yeah. You could have quite easily fibbed to me and said this is a $2,000 cartridge.
Yeah,
and I would have believed you.
I could have.
I think it's really
put a
good.
sticker on it saying Lyra.
You could have actually. Yeah, it's definitely got.
Yeah.
Some proper Lyra qualities, hasn't it? That openness of sound, which we like from the Lyras, and the dynamics.
Yeah.
And in fact, the sound stage on this is stunningly good.
It's really good.
It's really, really good, actually.
Yeah, so that was what first struck me, if I can just interrupt for a second.
Not at all.
Compared to the OC9, the sound stage, if that's the, if this is the sort of OC9 soundstage, then the AT-33 soundstage is like that.
It's massive.
It's really big.
Yeah, and really detailed. We were just playing this, actually. Let me grab. I've got some vinyl here, because obviously we've been playing some vinyl. We were just playing one of my faves, which is Warm Leatherette by Grace Jones. Beautifully recorded. Yeah. But the detail on Private Life was phenomenal.
Yeah.
And the dynamics were amazing. Really, as soon as there's a snare drum hit and sort of kicks out at you, there's a really cool bit of guitar sort of riff which sort of goes on, which sort of fades in and out of the song during it, and that is like in your face.
Yeah,
it's really good.
It sounds very kind of etched and delicate. It's really kind of. It's like a really high-res sound, isn't it?
Unbelievably so.
Really well resolved.
Unbelievably so.
Yeah.
But, I mean, there's no way you wouldn't know it wasn't analog. It's not a digital high-res sound.
Absolutely.
It's detailed and it's dynamic and it's absolutely smooth as silk.
Yeah.
I'm really impressed. And I'll tell you why I'm so impressed, because I didn't expect much from it.
Yeah.
Simply because, well, you didn't tell me anything about it before we listened to it, number one, so you didn't give me any insight. But also, I expected it to be more sort of OC7, OC9.
Yep.
And I've got to be... I'm going to probably upset some people here. They're not my two favourite cartridges.
No.
I found them a little bit bright, a bit in your face.
Yeah.
Just not quite my cup of tea. I understand why people like them.
Yeah.
I understand why people buy them,
Yeah.
but for me they're just a bit fiery.
Yeah.
But for this was just not at all.
Yeah.
This is like the sort of, it's got all the good qualities of the OC7 and the OC9, but in a much more rounded package.
Yeah. If the OC9 is kind of medium quality coffee, then the AT-33 is like really good quality tea.
Yes. Yes.
It's not quite as kind of,
pick the bones out of that analogy.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's for tea fans.
I love that.
We're talking Rington's Earl Grey here, not PG Tips Builders, But so I mean, so the OC9 is a bit of a headbanger of a cartridge.
It is.
It's actually got very good dynamics. That's the one great thing about it, I think. And it's got a very solid body, so you can really whack up the torque.
Good point.
Yeah.
Good point, because that may be one of the slight problems with this cartridge.
Yes.
Because it's a composite, isn't it, body?
Yeah, it's got a resin body, which is basically kind of clothed in aluminium. So it's basically plastic with a sort of aluminium outer. And obviously aluminium is soft, or this aluminium is soft. So you've got to be careful with AT-33s. You can't tighten them up too much in your in the head shell.
And actually, the OC9, you could get a crowbar on it, and it would be it would be fine. You could really get you could almost weld it to the tone arm, to the head shell.
You could get a car starting handle from the old days.
You could,
and sort of weld on a kind of Allen bolt. And then basically use that to tighten it up.
Yes.
No, don't do that. Otherwise, we'll be sued.
But with this, you sort of need to get a cotton bud.
Yes.
With an Allen bolt on it to tighten it up.
You just have to go very gently, and then you begin to feel that you're kind of, it's kind of the cartridge itself is beginning to take the strain, as it were, and then just sort of leave it and don't go back to it. Whereas with the OC9, you just kind of whack it up and then whack it up a bit more, whack it up, and so on. So. But I didn't say that because I don't want to be responsible for you killing your...
No.
So
Do be careful with that one.
That's what other people tell me.
The other album we listened to, I hadn't heard in I don't know how long.
Yeah.
Probably, I don't even want to guess. I don't even want to give anything away.
Decades.
But decades, yeah. And I don't remember it being this good.
Yeah.
I'm not supposed to say that. And it's this, Pelican West by Haircut 100. And I know that people are now going to be laughing at us. But don't knock it till you've tried it, as they say. Stunningly well recorded. How did they make their first album sound so good? I mean, what did they do? Because I think you said this is a digital album, isn't it?
I believe so.
Yeah. And it's just, I mean, wow. Whoever is the recording engineer on this, it's just done an incredible job.
It's one of those random records where, so basically they're a bubblegum pop band from the early 80s, late 70s, early 80s.
Digital recording.
They were very kind of new wave of jazz, kind of like coming out of, you had kind of Light of the World, and you had Beggar and Co, and you had Freeze, and that kind of movement. And Haircut 100 sort of crystallized all of that and produced a sort of bubblegum poppy sort of thing. And I think they were so successful largely due to this bloke here. Where is he?
Mr. Hayward.
There he goes.
Yeah.
So he's the band leader. He's the only one not wearing an Aran sweater. So you can tell, he's basically the boss. Like, saying, you lot have to wear an Aran sweater.
That's excellent.
I'm not going to.
He's still playing, actually.
Very gifted musician.
Mark Dearnley or Dearnley was the engineer. So whoever that is, wow.
Who's the producer then? Probably Haircut 100, is it?
It may well be. I can't actually see on there. I'm sure someone will tell us. Oh, Bobby Sargent.
Oh, yeah. Well, good old Bobby Sargent.
There we go. Missed that.
So,
I was having a beer in one of my local pubs near where we both used to live, called the Crooked Billet.
Yes.
Which is sort of Stoke Row, I think the name of the village is. Yep. And the night after I was having a beer in there, Nick Hayward was playing in the pub.
Wow.
How cool's that?
That's really cool.
Just rock up and play any local pub, why not?
So he cancelled the previous night when he saw you.
That's right. We're supposed to do 2 nights in a row. I would have loved to have seen Nick Hayward play live. I think it'd be brilliant. I really like that.
Yeah.
I quite like some of his solo stuff as well. But
I do too. Yeah.
Whistle Down the Wind. Blue Hat for a Blue Day. Warning Sign was a really great song. Had the funk.
So his first solo album after Haircut 100 was really good, wasn't it?
If you've tuned in to watch a review on an Audio-Technica cartridge,
sorry,
we're just going to apologise now, but it happens on Riff, doesn't it? But look, back to this.
Yeah.
This is so cool. I think this is absolutely stunning. I can't begin to tell you how much value for money I think this is.
Yeah.
Because I do feel like this is a £2,000 cartridge and a £650 price tag.
Yeah.
So
I think so. I love, to me, my kind of favourite affordable. When I say affordable, I mean affordable for crazy people who spend money on cartridges rather than holidays. So the Lyra Delos, food, yes. So the Lyra Delos to me, which is over twice as much as this, is my favourite sort of moving coil for it's the cheapest great moving coil.
Okay, get it.
So
sure.
I don't know what it is exactly at the moment. It's roughly £1,500. But to me, this is like the one that you would have before.
Yes.
The Delos.
This is 90% of it, isn't it?
I would say not quite that much, but it's sort of nearly that, I think.
Sure.
But it's certainly, for the value for money wise, it's staggering because it's like a kind of high-end moving coil without the absolute magic of a high-end moving coil, but it's getting there, isn't it?
Yeah, it's stunningly good.
Yeah.
Just very quickly then, so what system, can you just tell people what system we used to play it in? What was the sort of front-end arm amp speakers? So
we were using, obviously, going back from speakers backwards, my Yamaha NS1000s.
Go-to speakers.
Absolutely, they'll tell you an awful lot about what's going on. And before that's the Musical Fidelity M8XI.
Done a review of that. Done a riff on that.
Really good.
I notice it's still here because we haven't got enough mates to lift it.
No. And so, don't tell them. I'm hoping they'll forget about that, Mike.
But right. They don't want to come and lift it either.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. This is Henley Audio we're talking about.
Yes, so Scott from Henley Audio, you won't want to come and lift this.
No. It's believe me, and it's impossible to get to my house anyway. So
that's true. I
live in the top of a mountain in Wiltshire. You wouldn't get up there; it's too muddy at the moment. So.
And turntable and arm.
So phono stage is ANT Audio Cora 3T-SE. 3 transistors only in the phono stage. Very clever Alex Nikitin design.
I feel a riff coming on.
Yep. And he did a lot of the Creek phono stages, which were excellent.
Very good.
And this is when Alex left Creek and just decided to go for it and did some stuff that was a bit more expensive. So it's a very good phono stage, as you can hear.
Yes.
And before that is my Marantz Tt-1000 turntable with Audio-Technica AT-33 tone arm off the top of my head.
The Marantz looks cool.
Yeah.
Doesn't it? It's a really, really great looking turntable. Yeah. I love that. I really love that.
Yeah, it's a great turntable. And the Marantz Tt-1000, incidentally, was the Ken Ishiwata's choice in the Marantz Dem room in Eindhoven, in their sort of European headquarters. They've got a Tt-1000 with an SME 5, which Ken Ishiwata had gold plated, and that's typical Ken.
Of course you do.
If you've got matching silk scarf and sort of collarless jacket, then you're going to have your SME 5.
Because it's not expensive enough already.
It's not expensive enough already. And he had basically a sort of custom-made Japanese cartridge by some crazy artisan guy.
Super cool.
Yeah. So very good turntable. But the coming back to the cartridge, it's I think it's 0.4 millivolt output, so it's not crazy low like a Supex, but it's not as high as some of the modern moving coils. It's medium compliance, so fairly user friendly, fits most arms. Great in SME 5 or Riga RB300 series type thing. Tracks really well as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, brilliant.
tracks. I think I'm tracking mine around 2 grams ish. Apart from the kind of caveat emptor of not tightening it up too much in the head shell, it's just found it very easy cartridge to use, and also it's very square, so it's very easy to align as well.
Yeah, that's really true. We often don't think of things like that, but that's really important. And in terms of our riffometer score,
well, I'm going to give it 9.
Yeah.
So I can't fault it at the price. I think it's one of the very best at the price. I love the I love the Autophon Black 250 LVB, which is around $1,000, which is a moving magnet, and also the Nagaoka MP-500, which actually sounds also moving iron, moving permalloy, which sounds strangely quite similar to that. I think
does
the top Nagaoka, but they're moving magnets, and then high output, basically moving permalloy or moving magnet, but then spend £300 less on that. And
100%.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm going to give it a 10. I just think it's brilliant.
There we go.
I think it's value for money. It's the cartridge to have.
Excellent.
I haven't heard anything better at the price.
So no, you can't borrow it, Mike.
But I'm going to caveat that with I have not heard anywhere near as many cartridges as you have recently. So for me, it was absolutely stunning. So can I borrow it?
No.
Oh, what's he like?
So I've lost the stylus card. Otherwise, I would of course lend it to you.
Oh, is that what it is? I've got a stylus card for one in my pocket.
I wonder where it got to. So
there we
actually,
are.
no. I mean, maybe I'll might even give it 9.5. Because value for money, I can't see how it's really going to be better. I've viewed loads of moving calls over the years, so it's great.
Brilliant.
But it's kind of best kept secret.
Yeah, and I'm glad it's no longer a secret from me.
Yes.
So fantastic.
And Audio-Technica, being a Japanese company with a kind of UK subsidiary, and they're selling microphones. In fact, we've got an
Audio-Technica microphone.
So
don't have that as a representative sample of the quality of this cartridge.
But the point is, they sell so many things, and they just don't really bother to promote that.
Sure.
If they were a one-product company, they'd be shouting about that.
They would. They really would. That's a great point. Yeah. And on that note, thank you so much for watching this episode of Mike and Dave's Hi-Fi Riff. And we'll see you at the next one. Thanks, Emily.
Bye.